firms do not know if they have to comply with margining rules, what are some of the first steps that they should take?
Well, I think there's going to be a monitoring process that they may have to go through, where you can clearly come up with your AANA calculation to determine if you're above the $8 billion, but you may not be above the $50 million collateral threshold. There are some monitoring tools that will allow you to be in a state of readiness when you actually do have to post collateral, because you cannot wait till the last minute and expect that you're going to have a custodial relationship right there unless you have already spoken to that custodian, you've begun to negotiate the account control agreements with your custodian as well as your counterparty. So there's a certain amount of readiness that has to be done.
What would you say to those firms that are procrastinating?
Well, I think I had referenced earlier in a conference that I was at, where one buy-side institution, they're looking at their positions right now and saying they will not have to post collateral. They are above the $8 billion AANA, but they are not expected to post collateral next September. They're already talking to their custodian. So they're positioning themselves so they're in a state of readiness, because they know that when, or even if when their collateral threshold is breached, they have to be ready. They have to have the documentation ready, they have to have the accounts open, they need to understand what they need to do from an operational perspective. So I think the industry probably hasn't, the message probably hasn't permeated fully through the 1,000 or so institutions that are going to be impacted in phase 5. But I think that those that are and have been following it for a while understand that they need to be in a state of readiness.
If a firm has an initial margining infrastructure in place, what should they be doing to optimize operations? And quickly, would there be any spin-offs from this effort?
Before the rules really kicked in, there had been a number of estimates in the amount of margin activity, the multiple increase in margin activity that would give rise through the variation margin, big bang, as well as the initial margin. So if a firm is not fully automated in their process, they're going to be struggling. And I think that the fact that you're in a bilateral situation where even though you may not actually be posting, you still need to understand what's posted to you. You still need to be monitoring your dealer counterparty who is probably using one of the tri-party mechanisms. So there's a tremendous amount of information that you've got to pull together and bring to risk, to finance, through the operational process. There are tools out there. There's a lot of vendors in this space that have a lot of cutting-edge tools. I think the monitoring probably is one of the most important tools that the phase 5 population is going to be to avail themselves of, because of the fact that there's so many will not have to post initially, but there are many others as well.
And then the spin-offs from all that.
And then the spin-off will put you in a state of readiness, and I would say ease the concerns internally with your risk and legal, because there isn't a question. So you're not posting yet, but you've gone through this process. You know that you can communicate the margin call through the best market means. And you know that you can satisfy that call. You have accounts set up that with your custodian. So the state of readiness is there, and I think that that to me is really where you need to be, and that's where clients need to be.